news came suddenly. An urgent dispatch came to all of Avalon's sorcerers. Avalon's highest authority, the 13th Persepius, had been taken. He was said to know every spell and incantation devised by man since time immemorial, and was of such importance to the organization that only a handful had ever seen his face. But some unknown captor had found him and bested the heavy guard he kept, employing some kind of powerful illusionary magic. Witnesses reported a sorcerer dressed in red. Some hours after the crime, an ultimatum came from the Order of Grimm. Their demand, the Ars Magica in Totalis. The tome passed on from Persepius to Persepius. The moment I heard Grimm, I began to prepare for the road. My destination, the tavern where Red and I had met.
Sorry, but you'll find none called Persepius here.
Semelia's tone was one of amusement as she nibbled at her apple. I was a visitor, come to see her. A rare treat for her, I'd wager. Avalon now feared a traitor. Someone inside had loose lips. If you'd had any contact with Grimm, you were a suspect. My own acquaintance with Red had me in a fine pickle. But her troubles eclipsed mine. The assassins would be coming for her soon.
Oh, are you worried for me, Spot?
Only slightly, I replied.
Slightly?
She echoed with a smile. It seemed to please her. My questions left her conflicted.
All right, just their destination.
That was more than enough. I asked if she would be safe.
Be very thankful.
Came the reply.
Then pay me back. Or it's back to my illusions with you.
Abducting the master of Avalon. Well, that's really something. Red Hood appears to be one of those responsible for the crime. But then, why did she speak out so freely? It doesn't add up. Perhaps she's plotting something. There they were, a procession of sorcerers surrounding a carriage. From their garb, they clearly weren't Avalon. Those were Grimm men. Persepius must be inside the coach. It was exactly as Semelia had said. I chose to observe from afar for now. On the road ahead was a monster. The sorcerer that stepped from the carriage bore an unmistakable air. I knew from Red's description this was Terwin, Hierarch of the Order of Grimm.
You there, in the bushes.
She extended a beckoning hand in my direction.
Surely just watching is no fun.
Had she seen? But how? When? I'd been meticulous in concealing myself at a blind angle. Too late to ponder it now, I left cover and approached her.
I know who you are. Red Hood. She told me of you.
The lack of suspicion she regarded me with spoke volumes. Did she take me for an ally? Or was it the simple confidence that she could crush me at a moment's notice? Or was she trying to recruit me for the Order? Before it was slain, the fiend split the carriage to splinters. Many were injured. From the wreckage, one man rose. Old and bound by an enchantment. That was the first time I saw him. The man who stood at the pinnacle of Avalon.
How you've grown, child.
He spoke in the tone of a doting grandfather. Needless to say, we bear no blood relation. Here stood the 13th Persepius. My first impression. A man gone senile, memory lost to the years. Child, what's this old man talking about? If this fool's a great sorcerer, then I'm a damsel in distress.
I was surprised as well.
Came Terwin's voice from behind me.
For this is the true face of Avalon's commander.
He never appeared in public. As a result, precious few knew anything about him. To most, he was more legend than living man. Only his name was known by all.
How you've grown, my little one.
I told him a second time that I was not his grandchild. Was this the luminary guiding Avalon?
No matter. He'll still suffice for a hostage till he coughs up the Ars Magica.
The Ars Magica in Totalis. A grimoire said to hold every spell ever known to man. The knowledge passed from one Persepius to the next.
We have need of a spell to halt time for all the world.
It was then the whistling came. Arrows rained from behind. Avalon's assassins had arrived. Or rather, I had brought them. 'Twas folly to think they wouldn't tail a prime suspect like myself.
This assassin must have been tailing.
I will spill your guts, you traitor!
Gravely injured, the assassin made his plea. They had Red, and were offering an exchange. I failed to stifle a groan. For she must have been taken, and just after we parted. By the man sent to shadow me, no less. The members of Grimm deliberated.
We have ample store of apple shades already.
Having persuaded the others, Terwin spoke for the Order.
You. Tell them they will have no accord.
The assassin left, leaving a trail of blood behind him. Red was to be left to her fate then.
Our goal is greater than any one of us. The eternal recursion must stop.
Terwin spoke these words to her shaken comrades. Well, so be it. The task falls to me. I'll have to save Semilia myself, poor forgotten creature. And fair enough, I'm responsible in part for her capture. Can't let the girl die before I pay her back. She'd haunt me. The Order of Grimm seeks to prevent the prophecy of eternal recursion. And Red Hood may get caught in the middle. Our author is planning to challenge the Order of Grimm. I clenched my fists, determined. Terwin must have noticed and turned her shut-eyed stare on me.
Her stories painted you as cleverer than that.
Red was to be executed. I was still suspected by Avalon. Only one solution could solve both problems. Steal back Persepius.
You're a strange one, eh?
I had felt no presence there. By the time I had noticed him, he stood at my side. Close your eyes, he said, and the ground began to shake. A sudden gale blew.
You thought me a doddering old man too, did you?
I opened my eyes to unfamiliar surroundings. Terwin and the Order were nowhere in sight. What had happened?
I've a good enough grasp of that lot now. No sense in lingering.
The wily old goat. Not one of them had seen through his act. He had been able to escape from the very start. In retrospect, the notion that Avalon's head would be so easily taken was preposterous.
We'd best be off, eh? Your friend will be waiting for us.
I made for Avalon's fortress as fast as I was able. The hours till Red's execution were ticking away.
Hurry. You don't want your friend to get executed, do you? That grim lot prattled on about averting the world's end.
He laughed that he wouldn't give the Ars Magica to a dubious cult, even if it were possible. But the book doesn't exist in the first place, he explained. Not as such.
It's all up in the old noggin.
The flesh, he claimed, is but a vessel for carrying knowledge on to the next generation. When accepting the mantle, each new Persapius sacrifices his predecessor. In so doing, he claims all of the prior generation's memory. The sum of that knowledge is the Ars Magica in totalis. But such a colossal store taxes the human memory past its limits. The price is his inability to learn without forgetting something else.
For you, I'll make an exception. Your name, please?
He joked that I should hope he didn't forget anything important in exchange. It had been hours since I'd seen him back to Avalon's stronghold. On his command, Semelia had been safely released. I was tasked with her escort back to Grimm. I told her we were even now.
Not by a long shot, Spot.
She replied. Just the same, a smile of relief played on her face.
Well, I wish I knew what to say at times like these.
She'd never had cause to thank anyone before, she mumbled.
Come to think of it, I still don't know your name.
I gave my reply, and she stopped, cold. The smile on her face disappeared completely. You would think I just heralded the end of the world. Soon, the author will be told of the grim prophecy in detail. The prophecy never should have come to light. That's why this memory was buried. And don't forget, this memory took place before the encounter with Magusar. Red Hood offers a new perspective on this entire tale. Go ahead and read it, but don't let it confuse you. It was the first I'd heard of Grimm's prophecy in detail. I was left in disbelief. How was my fate related to talk of the world's end? It was some days later I first met Magusar and we began our travels. It was just as Grimm had foreseen. Throughout my journey, I received periodic correspondence from Red. One letter in particular stands out in my memory.
Have you ever paused to wonder how many times we lived out these lives before? Eternal recursion. The world's come and gone and been made new again. The fact that you exist at all proves his every word beyond doubt. And if he foresaw your coming, then surely. But even before I learnt of this cycle that binds us, I knew this world is, at its core, unfair. I was born to the Red Hood line, a bloodline cursed, even by our fellow druids. Heretical even to heretics. I was always alone. There were times I cursed my fate, my blood. But I would echo these words within my heart, and courage would always come. This is where my story begins. I know you. I know your name well. There is none more sacred to the members of the Order. I expect you find it hard to believe that only your words can echo on beyond the world's destruction and rebirth. But they did. The words that gave me strength were yours. This is where your story begins, you said. I was so happy. Happy to meet the one who had given me those words of salvation. Geoffrey Leborn. If the words you left hold true, you will learn better than any just how cruel this world can be. But please, remember this. The words you left behind hold the seeds of hope. I pray that you will offer them to the next world in turn. Even if the world comes crumbling down around you, remember this.
My scattered memories are coming back. The world repeats itself. Most of the events written upon my pages have recurred countless times. Even our imprisonment has played out before, time after countless time. At some point there was a deviation, an event that had not transpired before. That was Grimm's prophecy, and it was passed on to the next world. After countless iterations of reality, it was the one historical fluctuation. The encounter with Red Hood was special, a tale that should never have existed. It was an event that occurred even before the meeting with Magusar. Red Hood told the journal's writer of his fate, according to Grimm's prophecy. Later, the writer of the journal and Magusar would meet. Their journey was nearly the same as it had played out countless times before. Just like Grimm's prophecy, exactly as Red Hood had described. Only with one notable difference. On the journey, the journal's author began to suspect an eternal recursion. Near the end of the world, Magusa went berserk, and the author was convinced. And once you are aware of the charade, the world can never be the same again. Reality continued to recur, but things were gradually rewritten. There are multiple conclusions to the journey with Magusa. Next, we will see a deviation from this recurrence. A unique tale, the first ever.